Hello everyone and welcome to our educational session. My name is Paul Arsov and I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web project. The topic of our educational event today is simulating thinking like an individual in a robot. The topic touches on technology and it touches on psychology and in general it's about consciousness and how do we um, emulate and achieve something which is very human-like in essentially a machine. And in the end of this presentation, I'm going to talk about the projects that we're working on, but get started with the topic of today. One sometimes feels that there's something to conscious experience that transcends all these specific elements, a kind of background hum, for instance, that is somehow fundamental in consciousness, and there is even when the other components are not. And the great mystery of consciousness, as described in the quote above, it is not so much in many properties, it is why any of it exists at all. It is notable that we have to ask ourselves why. The question is almost always the same. Why does consciousness exist instead of nothing? And we could ask following questions like why should this, for example, some physical process be accompanied by an experience? We have little idea how it arises or why it exists at all. How could a physical system such as brain also be an experiencer? Why should there be something it is like to be such a system? Why is all this processing accompanied by an experience inner life? Why should there be a conscious experience at all? Though these questions are meant to be somewhat rhetorical, the answer is more obvious than we may think. But to see it, we must first take a step back and look at what humans are actually doing rather than what they claim to be doing when they judge that they are conscious. In a certain sense, like a group called eliminativists, those who treat consciousness as an illusion, are certainly wrong. There's something there to be seen, namely the simple fact of existence, that there's something rather than nothing. Pure existence, conscious or not, cannot be brushed off as an illusion. Those who defend dualism feel that eliminativists are telling them they don't exist at all in any sense, physical or spiritual. Such an argument, if it were seriously taken, would be fruitless. Every mind that encounters the argument would intuitively reject it. Anytime you contemplate the topic of your own existence, you come to the conclusion that you do indeed exist. You are using the same mental machinery that you use to judge the existence of any regular object. These are the same functions of motivation and attention that gauge the existence of, say, pizza or a toy. They will respond in the affirmative if you ask if either of these effectively exists. By effective, I mean it is usable in the context for which we are searching for it. Uh, that is, can it be accessed by someone in the context of a given need? For example, when presented with a painting of a pipe, the question is there a pipe will return different answer if your goal is to have a smoke or if you are trying to catalog the content of an art gallery. The same existential question may be asked of consciousness or the self itself. The thought I am seems to be unavoidable, and the action as that apple is red. However, as with the example of the painting of the pipe above, there must be a context of motivation or usage which causes this question to be asked in the first place, and under which the confirmation makes sense. What are you trying to use this self for? What prompted you to search for an answer? What assumptions will be used to resolve ambiguities, to truly explain how any mind can discover and understand its own existence? Uh, these are the questions we must answer since they shape the nature of the answer. The, you may also have noticed the curious feature of discussions about consciousness. They frequently get heated or emotional. This is surprising since, unlike politics or economics, the ontological nature of human consciousness can never have any real influence on anyone's life. On the assumption that all humans are conscious beings, no one will perceive human beings as a species differently, whether or not it turns out that they're all actually zombies, beings with no consciousness but who appear conscious, as long as each of us effectively look and act like we are. The phenomenological properties of consciousness, whether they're epiphenomena or whether they supervert on physical reality, are, even by their own definition, inconsequential to physical existence. So where does this zealous passion in defense of the sanctity of human consciousness come from? There is one possible answer, which we will try to explain through a brief aside. We may perhaps be an anomaly in that we remember the first moment we realized we were conscious, including where we were and what we were doing at the time. We also remember the feelings associated with that moment. We experience the removal of doubt about ourselves, about our identity in the larger scope of things, and about my right to get what I want, both socially and personally. Assuming uh, like myself or yourself are not unique, and I don't think personally I am. The same underlying motive appears to be the driving force behind people's desire to discover and identify their own consciousness, even if they don't explicitly remember or realize this fact. Having read through many defenses of dualism, it seems that people conceive of conscious experience as the last bastion of personal rights and freedom from the dehumanizing encroachment of mechanical psychology. This would explain why people are so sensitive about the specifics of a topic that is otherwise of so little consequence. They feel that the wrong answers may infringe on their notions of self determination. There is something precious about being conscious, in contrast to the creeping alter determination from external forces of cognitive science and AI. Moral arguments around the unique status of consciousness are underpinned by the fear of some or maybe all members of our community will be designated as non-conscious and subsequently treated as disposable machinery or objects. Many people are afraid to see consciousness explained because they fear that if we succeed in explaining it, we will lose our moral bearings. Maybe we can imagine conscious computer or consciousness of a bot, but we shouldn't try. um, the desire for life, for self-preservation, for material possession are the roots of this self-understanding of our own consciousness and existence. This is the context in which questions like "I do not exist" are asked, and the qualifications under which ambiguous cases are resolved. It is no coincidence Buddhists claim that the ego or self have their roots in temporal desires, the desire for possession, including the possession of life, and then the removal of these desires is equated with the nirvanic extinction of the self. It would be fair to presume that a person who denied their own existence was implicitly abdicating their right to obtain any benefits from this world. These are the uh, motives that cause you to conceive of your own existence and drive all judgments and knowledge about it. The mind is not free, truth discovering agent. There are many things that exist, but the most people will not become aware or due to a lack of interest. Um, there must always be an interest that drives you to ask questions about your own existence, to gauge if the answers are satisfactory, and to probe them when they're not. It is quite personal, it is not social, but also existential. Am I an important person? Do I have a right in my own separate space and property? Will I continue to have experiences beyond death? What am I and why do I behave the way I do? All those motives are much uh, bigger and trigger and direct the discovery of your existence. They're not consciousness of understanding existence, but rather the roots of that understanding itself. Even um, contra- contrariness, specifically the desire not be seen as predictable, plays a role in your self image. Who would want to admit that they are simply machines, easy to predict?